2004 Neon 2-liter engine, automatic transmission, SXT, all about the same. Going to change the front motor mount, which is in there. Okay, let's see if this is any better. There's the one bolt right there. That is your mount. That's what we got to remove and change. Bad vibrations. So, to do this, we're going to change or remove upper torque mount, ground wire, going to disconnect the power steering reservoir, take both the fan belts off, drive belts. There's another one of these on the bottom. I'm going to take it off. I'm going to take a splice shield off. I'm going to take the front tire off. And all this is so we can take this off right here. The front mount bracket, which it mounts to. Okay, all this stuff has to be removed so that the mount has room to come out. So the mount would sit in there like this. So this is flush with the fender well, and this sticks into it. So we have to come out. It looks like about 2 inches, maybe 2.5 inches. Okay, the mount's not positioned right now. I just got it sitting there. I went ahead and got a factory mount, Mopar, and they sent me a nice little bolt with it. Alrighty. Okay. To do all this, you're going to need a few jacks, some jack stands, metric tools. You also have to disconnect the negative ground wire on the battery. Put something between it and the post so that it doesn't accidentally hit. Also, you have to disconnect the generator, which is down there. You can just see the top of it, the bright little thing there. Okay, that belt's coming off, and you'll have to jack the car, piece of wood, so you don't hurt your transmission housing when you adjust it. One special note, when it goes back together, there's a measurement between here, the center of this, to the center of your windshield wiper hose, that hole, and it's the measurement between there and the measurement between there and there should be 4.70 from memory, or 119 millimeters. And I went with the millimeters. I had a wrench. Same thing. Okay, I'll go ahead and disconnect some stuff, jack it, and you can look at the underneath and see what we need to do there. Okay, I've jacked the vehicle. It's kind of hard to work with one hand, so we're going to be going on and off. I went ahead and disconnected the battery cable and set something between it so we didn't burn up anything sparking. And down here, when you jack it, if you go down here, there's a flat spot here, and this is where you're supposed to brace it at. Now I stuck two stands underneath it. Oops, can't do that. There we go. Two stands underneath it, just in case. That's not the proper place, but there's no weight on it, and what it will do is come down, hit the stands, and scare me. But it will save my life. If you don't have stands or anything, when I take off the tire, I will take it, and you can take and stick it underneath the frame, and it will give you some distance to get out in case it does fall. Okay, up here we're going to take this off, the ground wire, and I'll see what else I can take off, and I'll explain it all as I go. So we'll stop and go from, and I'll start it back up when I get that done. Alright, sun's out. I've taken off the link here, 2 bolts. You can see how this is elongated. This is elongated for the adjustment, that measurement I said, 119 millimeters. Wire was here. Later on we would have had to taken off the nut right here on the generator. Loosen that nut up. You know, it's shining against my thing, so I'm not sure if you're seeing what I see. Anyway, you undo that nut at the top of the generator. That's your adjustment to adjust the belt. We'll undo the lower one later, and this one right here. That is your adjustment. It's nothing but a bolt that goes along here, and this here holds it steady, but now we can back that off and loosen up the belt. Also, while we're here, this item right here is a 17 millimeter wrench, fits onto that. That's how you take the tension off your belt for your fluid, power steering fluid belt. So you just go like this clockwise, and it takes the tension off and slip the belt. We'll do all that, and then we'll come back. And before we go any further, let's do the bottom side here. Let's see what's going on. This shield here has to come off. It's just a little 1 bolt here, some quick release. You probably can't see it, but it's just a little push, plastic push thing, and there's 2 bolts on the top, up on the member up there. You take those out, and this thing just comes right out. It's really easy. Then you have access to your lower strut. Some people call it motor mount, some people call it torque bar, and that's aftermarket. And once you get those out, then you can work on the lower side, getting loosening up the generator or the alternator, and to get the alternator belt off and stuff like that. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll explain what I did when I get done. Okay, I went ahead and took the tire off. The splice shield they're talking about is right here. I've got a couple bolts out on it. And this rod here is going to come off. It goes to your lower strut right there. This is a bolt, and with a stud on the end of the bolt. So it's all one piece. So you take this off first, and this, take it off, and then you can take the strut out with the two bolts, just like the upper one. Alrighty, we'll do that and come back. Okay, everything's off. The splice shield. Everything's fairly accessible. Gonna take that bolt out. This bolt here. Right there. This bar. And right there. Okay. Here we go. You go ahead and remove the fan belts all the way. Okay, a little note on here. This here, I don't know if you can see it, but it's slided. Slided end goes down. When this comes off, see this washer back there? That washer goes between this and the head of the bolt. Okay? When you're going back together. Alright. Okay. Before taking this link out, because I'm going to have to block the engine up and everything doing that, I'm going to go ahead and take the generator bolt off. And you just have to loosen it, that's all. Just loosen it. And then we'll go back on top and take and unscrew that other bolt, and you'll loosen it up and that will come off. Okay? Also, this is 18 millimeters. No, shoot, I think that's 15 millimeters once you get that off. See how that stud works? Just goes through the other side. Simple mechanics. Okay, I don't know if you can see it, but looks like there's two bolts holding on your power steering pump. So we'll take those out because they are mounted to the bracket. Also, you'll see how much freedom that gives us. We still haven't taken out the main bolt. I'm saving that for last, once I get everything else done, so that I don't have to have the engine jack too long. The bolt is right here through this here plastic cover. I'll take it off. I normally leave a lot of the bolts in place so I can remember where they go back at. Alright, let's take the power steering pump out. Okay, gonna disconnect power steering reservoir pump from the bracket. You do that by disconnecting bolts right here. So you turn this here to line up to the bolts and disconnect. Oh, I think there's 3 of them. While we're here, don't know if you can see it or not, but there's 3 lines on the tensioner. When you put the belt back on, the tensioner's correct and the belt's correct. There's a little line on the bracket. It should be between the 2 big lines, I think. Don't quote me on that, but these little brackets that I'm taking out here, they're aftermarket, around 200 bucks. Alrighty, let's take the pump out. Alright, pump's still in, but the bolt sticks in there. And so what you do is you take a magnet, because you can't get it with your hands, and you just pull it out with a magnet. Very simple. Yeah, we're going to take the lower link out, and got the engine on the far side. Kind of blocked it a little bit to rotate the engine up, so take all the stress off. We're going to get that out, and then we're going to bring the jack over to this side, support the engine, and take our main bolt out here for the center mount. Alright. Lower mount's out. As you can see, the back side is elongated, and that's so that you can adjust it, and the front one is not. So you tighten this one down first when you're going together with it, and then you adjust it with this here in the back. Okay, mount bolt is out. Don't be afraid to jack your engine too much. Mine was a little low, but it came out anyway. So next thing we're going to do is work on the 3 brackets, 3 bolts. Down here that hold this here on the mount bracket. Then after that we'll mark and then pull off the 4 bolts on the mount. Lower the engine. In fact, you can see how low I had to get it. This is the bottom of the engine, and it's almost touching the strut where the aft, where the strut went to, the lower strut, mount strut. And the bolt is right like that, and it just barely comes out. And it's pretty long, and that's why you got to do that. So now we'll work on the top bolts. By the way, these bolts that I took out on the power steering, in some cars the lower bolt may hit your frame. So this is the time that you would do this part, is raise it, when you raise it up, to take out some of those bolts. Mine fit, but some cars don't. Well, there's one bolt, top bolt, comes straight out, and I'll just have to jack the engine a little bit higher and it'll come straight out. I think my jack's leaking. I'll have to get another jack for underneath there. And then the other one's down over here, so we'll get it next. Okay, last bolt is out. And it's right there. When you think you jacked enough, jack some more. Now the plate is loose. Now the plate's loose, and I'll just work it out. It's probably on the dowel pin or something. And take it out. Notice the pump stays steady. I did not unloosen the 2 bolts in the back. There was 2 bolts back here. I did not loosen them. I was going to, and then I got to looking closer and decided not to. Alright, let's take the plate out. Alright, In order to get the plate really loose, I had to go ahead and take the two bolts out on the back where it mounts to the engine, where it mounts to the pump, to the bracket. So I had to take those out. The top one you can just loosen, it's slotted, and it'll slide right out. Okay, so now we should have the looseness we need to take the bracket out. Alright, so let me do that. I'm not too good with one hand, so we'll turn the camera off. Alright, through a little jiggling and stuff, your power steering pump. Sorry about that. Your power steering pump, your bracket, and as you can see, it fits in there, so it is also recessed. And so what you have to do is take it out this way a little ways to get your power steering pump off of the bracket, and once you get to do that, it's home free. Okay, I've marked the bolts on the mount, marked along the edges so I know where it goes back in again. So we'll take those out and see if we've made enough room. And if not, I guess I'll just make more. Okay, we got the 4 bolts out, and we're going to show you how to put it in, because coming out it's just the opposite of this, and you have to go up and down a couple times. So here we go. You take your hands away. You see how that's fitting in there? Okay. Blood. You see how this is fitting here? It's got to be like that, okay? And you stick it up against the edge. And now we're going to lower it, and once it gets down in there, then it will slip into the hole. Okay? And that's the only way it can come out. And we're going to go ahead and do that now. We can edit this. Alright, so here we go. I'm going to lower it down a little bit. How are we doing?
We're good.
Okay.
Clear. Still good?
Move your hand so you can see real quick.
Oh, sorry.
Alright. Okay, coming down. Down. Okay. Let's go ahead and just go ahead and do it. Okay. Once you get it down to a certain position, I'm not even sure where I'm at now. There we go. Once you get it down to a certain position, it just slides right into the hole. Good luck. Okay. We have the new mount bracket in. Now we got to put, the new mount. Now we're going to put the mount bracket in. So we'll jack the engine up until we can get it in, and then hook up the power steering pump, get it in, hook up the through bolt, and start putting everything else back together. Okay, putting this bracket in, this bolt here, down in the corner, put it in the bracket about halfway and put it in with the bracket. You won't have to jack the engine quite as high. Put that one in. I'm just going to snug them a little bit and make sure I can get the power steering pump back on. In fact, I'm not even going to snug them. I'm going to make sure I can put the power steering pump back on. In order to do that, I'll probably have to lower it and then get it on because of the hoses being tight across the engine. Lower it and then raise it again to tighten the bolts. Okay, what I've done, put the power steering pump in loosely, just snugged the bolts here and in the back, the two bolts in the back. I just snugged them. It does move a little bit. I got the two top bolts in. I'm going to, not tight, I'm going to put the lower bolt in now, and then I'll be able to start tightening stuff up. At least I know everything will line up. Okay. Be careful when you're raising and lowering the engine to not catch the mount. There's some things coming off the bracket here, two little protrusions. Make sure you don't damage it. And you can kind of pull the engine back and forth like this in order to guide it on down. We lowered the engine down, put in the lower mount bolt on the bracket, torqued it to 45 foot-pounds, and the two upper ones are 45 foot-pounds. So now I'm going to raise the engine and torque them. Okay, torque the two upper bolts, there and there. Those two. Wire was up here. I went ahead and torqued these. These were what, 45 did I say? And these here are 250 inch-pounds, and the ones in the back here, they're the same, 250 inch-pounds. And I just used a cheap old Craftsman's torque wrench for all my stuff. Okay, I think now I can go ahead and lower the engine, put that mount bolt in there, the new one. The old one, I kind of screwed the threads up a little bit coming out, and that's why you should always put a new one in. Okay, gonna lower the engine and see what we can do here. Okay, lowered the engine down to where it should be. When you do that, you got to make sure there's two little tab things there. Make sure that they're lined up correctly. I think you can see one of them there. Once you do that, you look straight through the hole, make sure it's lined up. I already did that. And then you put your torque screw in. It's a T55 and torque it to 87 foot-pounds. 87. Alright. And start on the rest of the stuff here. Okay, we're going to put the alternator belt on. It goes on the back part of the pulley here, so it goes on first, then your Freon compressor, power steering pump goes on afterwards. It goes this way over to your compressor. We're also going to do the generator alternator first, so this bolt here, after we get done adjusting it all, we'll tighten this one down here to snug it. That kind of swivels on that. And upstairs, you can see the bolt that we would do to adjust it right here. At least I hope you can. The sun's shining. So you adjust it and it pulls the generator this way and tightens the tightens the belt, and you lock it down with this one right there, and that holds that bolt in place. Alright. Okay, both belts are on. This is self-adjusting. This one here, you just have to use your judgment on that. Nice. Just kind of go from the other one there, from your power steering pump and compressor one. Remember that that one is self-adjusting with this right here in a 17mm wrench. Fits right on it. At least it did. There we go. Fits right on it. And you just undo the torsion. Okay. Let's go on to our upper torque mounts and lower torque mounts. You put them in loosely. You can tighten this end down. But this end here, it's got the slot in it, so you need to leave it a little loose so it can move, so you can do your adjustment. As you can see, it does not line up with this end. So what we're going to do is go hold the vehicle and take a piece of wood on a jack and you stick it in this area here to push the engine up right here. It will torque it, and that will until you line it up. Once you get the top one lined up, the bottom one probably will be really close. You may have to still do this just a little bit. Okay. Got the upper one in. This one here is fairly tight. This one here is still loose. I can still move it a little bit. Alright. Upper one's in. This one's tight. This one here is still a little loose, so I can adjust it. And the bottom one's in. The forward one here is tight, fairly tight. This one here is loose a little bit, so I can adjust it. I kind of seated it in and backed it out. So now we're going to go to the adjustment portion of this before we put our stabilizing bar on here. And so we'll see how that goes. Okay, we went ahead and torqued the engine up. Everything is set right. Or you need a tape measure. I couldn't find mine, millimeter. So this here to the center of that bolt, to the center of this hole, to the center of this bolt right here is 119 millimeters or 4.70, which I used a backup there. Seems how I'm so forgetful. This bolt and this bolt and the two lower bolts, they're torqued to 87 foot-pounds. Alright. One more item. We'll take and hook up the battery, put the splice shield on, and okay, battery's hooked up, ran okay. Everything's torqued. I kind of went a little bit shy on the upper torque mount of the 87 foot-pounds. It just seemed like a little bit too much, so just make sure they're tight. And the last thing that would go in is obviously this. And I'll put that in. You don't need to see that. You know how it comes out. Remember the one washer between there. Just like that. done up here. I'm going to put that back in the hole. That was my measurement right there, and I'm hitting the wrong buttons. It goes right back in the same hole there. It's just a little quick disconnect thing. Push rivet. And I went a little bit shy on the 87 on this. It just seemed like too much. This one's a little shy too, but they'll be just fine. Battery's hooked up. Ran good. Put the tire on, I'm done. You all have a good day.